Welcome to this special episode of City of Sanford Says podcast. Today, we're talking about a topic that's affecting many residents and businesses in our community. It's the ongoing odor issue near the wastewater treatment facility plant right over here on Lake Monroe. It's called the North Water Reclamation Facility. That's its official term. And especially around high traffic areas. And that's why a lot of people have noticed this. And we've seen the news coverage. We've heard the complaints, and we understand your frustration. So we're acknowledging the problem right now, and this isn't a new issue. We take responsibility for that, and we're changing our approach. Today is about being honest, clear, and solution-focused. Joining me today are two guests for the City of Sanford that are the source of information, direct source of the information for this issue. We have Brynt Johnson. Brynt Johnson is our Director of Public Works and Utilities. Welcome, Brynt.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
And Richie Casella. Richie Casella is our plants manager. Richie is responsible for all the plants of the city of Sanford that are sewer related.
And water.
And water.
Mm-hmm.
And water. Richie's been with the city for almost 35 years, Richie?
36 and a half.
36 and a half. And Richie and Brynt are both here to just shed some light with you directly from the source about what's going on, to explain the city's overall response, really, and then to walk us through the technical side of what's happening and what's being done. So welcome, gentlemen, to the podcast, which is now video. We know that it's been a very serious issue. We'd like to have what's answered, what causes the odor, what's caused it, what's being fixed right now, what hasn't really worked in the past, and what long-term improvements are coming. Who wants to take that first?
Well, I'll open it up and then I'll turn it over to Richie. First of all, I want to say thank you again, Lisa, for having us and giving us an opportunity and a platform to be able to discuss the plants and some of our challenges and things that we're facing. As you all know, there has been an odor that's been noticed throughout the community. And for that, first and foremost, I want to apologize for the community having to deal with that. I understand that it's frustrating, especially for those who enjoy outdoor activities. But I do want you all to know that we're actively engaged in correcting the issue, and we are committed to that fix. Know that plants are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So this is our lives, unlike other jobs where we, people get to go home and step away from it. We don't. Our phones are tethered to us and we're constantly involved. And so this is not just an issue for us professionally. We take this personal because of, like I said, how often and how long we deal with these things. So with that, I will turn it over to Richie to talk about some of the causes of the odor and some of the things that we're doing to resolve the issue.
Well, thank you, Brynt. Yeah, so one thing that needs to be known about a wastewater treatment plant is nothing but a biological process, just like our bodies. It needs food, it needs air, and it needs to get rid of that excess food that it does not need. And basically that's what this odor is about. That's what liquid is going to those tanks, is basically excess solids from the plant that we're wasting out to ultimately safely dispose into the environment. And it is a biological process. It's subject to upsets, just like you and I are. And we have some issues. Unfortunately, we weren't operating the system as designed. So we reached out to the manufacturer and their experts, and they gave us several good tips and operating parameters that we need to follow. And we implemented that about 10 days ago. And so far, I think we've seen the results. And we also had a piece of equipment that failed. It wasn't totally maintained the way it should have been. Again, new information. It was running more than it should have been, and it should have been lubricated more, and that was on us. And we have a new one coming, and we ordered a spare as well. And a lot of people asking, well, why didn't you keep that in stock? Well, it's a specialized piece of equipment. It's a fairly large piece of equipment, expensive piece of equipment, $40,000, and it's built specifically for our system. So it's not something that's on the shelf or something we usually have sitting around. But after this, we will have that, and we will have a backup to it.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off of what Richie said, everything that he said was absolutely correct. Please remember that and not only is it a biological process, it's a mechanical process, it's a chemical process. There are a lot of steps in the treatment of wastewater. And so, sometimes hunting down a problem or chasing down a problem isn't the easiest thing to do. we recognize that this is an issue, but we're also working on resolving a lot of other issues at the plant. So when we talk long term, we have long term plans for plant improvements, and we either in some stage of design or procurement or actual construction. And as I said, this is a 24-hour day, 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week operation. And so we're constantly having to stay on top of things, replace parts, and adjust the process based on what comes into the system. As Richie said, much like human beings and your digestive system, if something upsets your digestive system, you have to take some type of corrective action. And so it's the very same process with wastewater. It's a biological process. If something upsets it, we now have to hunt down and figure out what's wrong with it. Obviously, the human body is a little bit easier than a plant that has hundreds of moving parts and pieces. But we are actively engaged in not only correcting this issue, but improving the plant so that we don't have issues like this happen in the future.
Can you share with the viewing audience what the process is from when how that plant works to where you say, I know if you go over there, it's actually open to the sky. It is, there's no cover over this job. How many gallon tank is that? I mean, would you say? I mean, it's huge. We're talking about when you see that, and it's something that the average person wouldn't see. It's huge, and there's no cover on it. So all of that.
Those tanks, those are our IFAS basins. We have
Wait, what's that?
That's another part of the biological treatment process.
Okay. Can we talk about how the plant takes the wastewater?
So you want to go from the process of when it comes into the plant to the time it leaves.
Could we, and what part of that process is broken right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning. Okay. So sewage comes in from out in the field. It's pumped from various pump stations throughout the city, gravity lines. It makes its way to the treatment plant. There's what we call the headworks. It has a bar screen, and the bar screen is there to pull out any kind of big debris that gets into a sewer system, tree limbs or, broken bottles or anything like that, anything that can be detrimental to the equipment in the plant. From there, it goes to the lift station, which pumps up to these IFAS basins, which are the main biological treatment part of the system. And that basically treats the incoming wastewater. And that's where we start the process of getting reclaimed water.
Okay. What does IFAS mean?
Integrated fixed film activated sludge.
Okay. So that's what that stuff is. It turns into sludge.
No, it's moving. It basically settles the solids out from it. You get clear, you start getting clear.
Okay.
What they call effluent.
Reclaim.
Yes. And from that basin, then it goes to what we call clarifiers, and that's where the solids settle out and you get your clear liquid on top.
Okay.
Now the bottom solids, that's your sludge. Some of that, it's activated sludge because you have living organisms in there. The majority of that is returned back to the IFAS basin because that needs to be in there in the basin to treat the incoming wastewater. The excess organisms, because you only need a certain amount, you don't need more. Now, based on the temperature, sometimes you need more than others, but that's why you take tests daily and to get the right number. But the excess is what gets wasted out. That's what goes to that tank, to the ATAT system, which is the issue we're having right now.
Okay. I wish people can see this tank that I have pictured in my mind, because I mean, I hate to say it, but just imagine you going to the bathroom. This is kind of, and you can't flush your toilet. And so, but how big would you say that?
Which tank are we referring
to?
The
big
Because
one.
you have different basins. You have the IFAS, you have the clarifiers.
Right. The
That's giant one that you've seen, that we show, you walk on the top and you could see it.
The one that's open.
Yes.
Right. Is the IFAS trains. There's 4 trains, but they're divided into 2 and 2. Each of those are 765,000 gallons each.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking massive. And
it's important to note that we treat over 7 million gallons of wastewater a day. The plant's designed at 7.3 million, but Richie, what's the average flow?
We're closer to 6 daily.
Because
and with rains and everything else, we could top 10 million.
Okay. And so, so that means the plant is in.
No processes.
Okay.
It's just what it's rated at this meeting.
So we were getting at, so that part of the plant is where this issue.
Right.
There's a part.
The excess solids that we're trying to haul away from the plant is right now is what's giving us the issue. Those tanks.
Okay.
Those treatment tanks.
Right. So what's causing? Because they're not moving out. It's not moving it out enough, or there's a solar dryer fan or something you were mentioning. Is that something?
Well, no, it's different. The solar dryer is the back part of that process, but the ATAT tanks basically that's where it treats the sludge. Because the ultimate goal basically is like we have reclaimed water. We make reclaimed water out of sewage, which is beneficial for irrigation and,
Right.
say it conserves our potable water. Well, the biosolids, when they're properly treated, can be used as a fertilizer.
Right.
Class A fertilizer you can spread on your lawn if you want to.
Right.
So that's the ultimate goal, is to get that Class A treatment. So first of all, you don't have to haul it off to a third-party site and pay a lot of money for
Right.
disposal. But also theoretically, we can actually market and sell those solids if the city manager and Mr. Johnson so desired to.
Right.
But at least we could dispose of it. Because in the past we had a different dryer at our other wastewater plant, and we had nurseries
I
and
see.
that actually wanted that because it was
Oh.
beneficial, and they took it for nothing.
Okay. So meanwhile, the issue is that solids and that sludge is kind of sitting there and not moving as fast. Or
You're right. Well, again, it's a biological process, and they need air 24/7, and we weren't supplying enough air to those tanks. And when it happens, the organisms die. They're not properly treating
Okay.
the liquid in there, and then you get the odor. And then to make matters worse, the exhaust fan failed, and because there's an odor control system that is a closed system, and it's
Right.
got a fan that goes through an odor control system that pulls all the odorous air off of those
Right.
tanks and pulls them out and basically exhausts it to the atmosphere after it treats it and eliminates the odor.
Right. Okay. So that's that's the part that's
Yes.
and
Right.
The sludge
that's
portion, the sludge
pretty-
treatment portion.
pretty self-explanatory right there. And we are now to rectify that. We have definitely have been bought a part. We've ordered a custom part.
Well, it's a combination of, as Richard mentioned, the exhaust fan, but also it's really the process modification that we made at the plant.
So this
because-
will happen again, or
Well, we're hopeful that it won't. I don't want to make any
Right,
promises
right.
to anyone out there in
Right.
the community, but we're hopeful that it won't. Like I said, this is a plant, and don't get me wrong, we're not very much different than other treatment plants. They all have their operational challenges, and this is ours. We're rectifying it. But I don't want to say that this will never
Right,
happen
that's
again,
not
because with all the
reasonable.
moving parts,
Yeah.
pieces, and the process itself, there's a possibility that anything can happen.
And the other thing to keep in mind is, like Brynt pointed out earlier, about it's a living organism, and if your stomach's upset and you take the medicine, it might take you 2 days to mend.
Right.
Well, you're talking about a plant with 1,000,000 gallons
Right.
of organisms in there. It doesn't turn around in a day or two, even a week.
Okay. And so the question you said about having the replacement, why is it a custom part for us? Why is it something that if we're like every other plants, basically, why are we ordering custom parts that are taking longer to?
Because it's not like a car. You and I both go to Chevy dealer. I'm sorry, I like Chevrolets. And we both buy the same car. So it's not like that. Treatment plants are not all the same. They ultimately provide the same service and goal of, safely
Right.
treating sewage and disposing of the solids and reclaiming water. But how they do it, it can be varied as night and day. There's so many different processes. Like anything else, it's a very, very lucrative business for equipment manufacturers.
Mhm.
So everybody's out there, engineers, they design different equipment. So like you take our North and our South plant, they have similar equipment. They have different equipment, and you're
Yeah.
talking about owned by the same municipality.
Right.
So that's what it is. It's what fits in your footprint. What kind of wastewater you have. That also impacts what kind of treatment you need, is based on what constituents you have in your wastewater.
Right.
So
So let me ask you this. So the fact that the city has more people here, and does that have any consequence on the actual production of the plant and what it can handle? Is
I
that-
mean, not at the current time. I mean, so the system is rated at a certain number of gallons per day that it can treat. We haven't gotten to that point where the city has expanded to the point where we're not capable of handling the
Okay.
treatment or the wastewater. But I will say that with continued growth, there will be that possibility that we're going to outgrow that plant. But we're already ahead of that. We're planning for that. We're looking at expansion at the South Wastewater Plant, because there's a lot of development. A lot of the development that's happening currently in the city is happening more on the southeast side of the city.
Mhm.
And so we're looking at the expansion of that plant to go from 3 million gallons a day to 6 million gallons a day. We're also, for the North plant, we've looked at options such as redirecting flow to the South plant, but ultimately what we landed on was looking at the possibility of partnering with Seminole County in the event that they decide to expand Yankee Lake, and we've had discussions with them about our interest in that, and
Mm.
that would then take some relief off of the North plant. So
Okay.
although we haven't reached that point yet where we're not able to handle the wastewater,
Okay.
we're planning for the future.
Okay. And so can I ask some questions about the actual, let's highlight some of the staff that what it takes to run a city's water plant over here at the North. We have all kinds of people, positions and experience levels and all of that, Richie. Well, give us an example of a day at the sewer plant and how, what people's roles are and in a this capacity.
Well,
Just
first,
curious.
no problem. That's a good question because first and foremost, you have to have certified operators, state certified operators. They have to put in so much time, pass a test, state issue test, and do coursework to get their license. It's not, you just can't walk off the street, come in and run the plant.
Right.
So, and there's different levels. A, B, C, with C being the lowest, having the least amount of experience, 1 year. B is 3 years, and A is 5 years. Basically, like I said earlier, their job is to look over the plant, take samples, run tests to make sure everything's within parameters, to make adjustments, to make sure the equipment is operating properly, to be on the lookout for any abnormal equipment sounds or smells or any, vibrations, anything they notice that they can let the maintenance people know so we can address it before something fails catastrophically and turns into a larger problem.
Right. And what are these people's titles called? What are these? Are they utility inspectors?
No,
What
they're wastewater plant operators 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. And then now you mentioned maintenance.
Right.
Can you explain where those?
Yes. We have plant maintenance staff, about 18 people. It serves our water and our wastewater treatment plants, composed of plant maintenance mechanics, electricians, instrumentation people, utility workers, equipment operators, and custodial staff.
So how many people do you have at your on staff here at the North Water Plant, roughly?
Well, we have 8 operators and a lead operator.
They run 24 hours a day, right?
Right, the plans,
Okay.
right. Not all of them, obviously they work different shifts.
Right.
Okay. But we have 50 people in the plants division.
Right.
And right now we're just all staffed out of all the maintenance people are staffed out of the North Plant because that's the largest plant. So we store our big trucks there,
Right.
regular pickup trucks. A lot of our spare parts are there.
All right. And this is our oldest plant, or
that plant was initially built in the early 60s. It's about the same age as the wastewater plant that we recently demolished and did the new main water plant on the golf course.
Right.
So,
right.
but that as of now, being that old water plant is gone, that is our oldest wastewater plant.
Right. Okay. And is that typical, Brynt, for a wastewater plant to be that? I mean, in service for that many years? I'm just curious.
Yes, it's not uncommon. There are plants. There are plants that are that age. So, like I said, it's not uncommon. Now I can't tell you how many plants or the percentage of plants that were built in the 60s, 70s versus 80s, but there are a lot of plants that were built in the 60s and 70s and that are still functioning in process. Richard, you want to?
Yes, that's a good question. That's a great point. See, there's a big difference between water and wastewater, especially in Florida. Florida, we take water from the aquifer, and we have very good water. So at the main plant, all we basically do is we pull water out of the ground, we aerate in the tanks, get rid of hydrogen sulfide. We used to fluoride, add fluoride, which we don't anymore. But basically we add a corrosion inhibitor for the pipes, and we disinfect it, and that's it. Wastewater obviously is a whole different animal. You're talking about converting raw sewage into beneficial solids and reclaimed water. So there's a lot bigger process. So at the main plant, when we did the new main plant, we basically demolished a 60-year-old building that just had some pumps and some controls in them. We left the ground storage tanks and we built a new building. Right. That's not the same, with the North Plant. You have 60 years worth of improvements done to a lot of equipment. You just can't bulldoze that over and build that somewhere else. You're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars to build a plant. So usually what you do is you keep that plant, you just keep adding to it, improving to it, and redoing it. Like I said, the ATAD basically, when I came in, we had what they call digesters. That basically, you had sludge, it's the same thing. It was basically where the sludge went before it was removed from the process, but a lot more primitive. And it was just basically to aerate a little bit just to keep the smell down. And then we just hauled it off. Well, those were demolished and we replaced with the new state-of-the-art ATAD system. So that's normally how it goes. And wastewater science, you demolish older equipment and systems, you build newer state-of-the-art.
Right. So we still have the ATAC system? Is that what we have? What you just mentioned?
Yeah, the ATAD is the system.
What is ATAD? That's just a brand name?
No, it's a process.
Okay, I'm ready.
You want us to do it? We'll tell you what it means.
Yeah.
No, that's what the system that we have.
Yeah.
Right. It says autothermophilic thermal aerobic digestion. And that's what basically is aerobic digestion is air. Digestion is that's where the sludge goes, basically to get digested or basically be used up.
Mhm.
And that, and that's how you basically, because once you kill the organisms in the sludge, that's what makes it safe.
Right.
But I think Richie said something very important, and I don't want to get stray too far away from that topic. You mentioned, we talked about our plant being 60 years old, and we talked about, is that uncommon or not? And you made a very good point when you talked about, it's important that, the plant continue to expand and change, and, it's a continuous process of renovating and adding and demolishing. And so I think that that's a good point. I didn't want to gloss over it because, people, they hear a plant 60 years old, and listen, the truth is any and everyone will love a brand new plant.
Right.
But like Richie said, we're looking at $500 to $600 million to build a brand new wastewater plant the size that we would need. And now that's not a number that we've sat down and really put together, but we're pretty confident that that would be the cost. And so it's important, that people understand that, even though you have a 60-year-old plant, you're constantly changing parts, you're refurbing and demolishing and putting in new parts. Richie talked about the headworks as a part of the process for wastewater. Well, we're in the process of designing a new headworks system for the North plant. And so
the head works.
that's where everything comes in. That's your wells, that's your bar screens, like you mentioned, all those things. And so we're in the process of designing a new headwork system. We'll probably
Who's we? A consultant or you, or who does that for the city?
Well, because we're the city, but our consultant is doing
so
the design.
engineers are doing that for us. We don't have people on staff.
Yeah, no, most of the stuff that we do as far as design is done by consultants, because they have a lot more expertise in that as far as design.
Consultant, what kind of consultant is like a
civil engineer?
Civil engineers.
More environmental, civil, a little bit of both. And so they're in the process of doing that. So when we do get to the point where we can construct the headworks, we'll demolish the old headworks. And so, like he said, it's just a continuous process of demolishing and rebuilding. And so even though you have a 60s plant, not everything is going to be from the 1960s.
Right. Yeah, that's understood and all. But so how long after this particular part malfunction would someone, as this person or maintenance person is there, is it like, it just something fell on the floor and that fell off, we need to do so? I know it's a much grander scale, but when we notice that, like, what is the maintenance responsibility of that? Like, was this coming down the line? Because we said we've kept on adding and having replacement parts and all of that. Was there just foresight? I'm asking this question, Richie, as to this particular part of the plant, which is kind of like the most public facing, is the odor. No one, as long as you can flush and go and you're fine. But the odor coming from it is very, which is annoying to everybody, more so in our community. And so that's why we're sitting here even having this conversation. So what happened really to that? If you can explain it in layman's terms, what was it? Like, when your car breaks down, like you mentioned?
Yes.
I mean, you got to go get a new battery, but you kind of light comes on. Right. And you're like, okay, that means I got to go get my battery, or I can't turn it on. And so you're not going to sit it there. You're going to go find, right. So just curious, can you just explain that?
So what happened was this exhaust fan was running, this odor control exhaust fan was running, and the operators noticed, we all noticed, it was basically louder than it should have been. So that's when we sent the maintenance crew up there to investigate, and they looked at it, and basically they found there's a lot of cracks in the unit itself. So it was vibrating, it wasn't operating properly. We were afraid it caused further damage or injury to somebody if it came apart. So that's when we made the decision to shut it down. We did reach out to a welding manufacturer. He came out, he welded it up. It lasted for a couple of days, but then it just started vibrating again. So
massive fan you're talking about, right?
Yeah, 30 horsepower to 10,000 SCFM of air it pulls.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds big. I mean,
pulls a lot of volume up there.
Yes, to prevent the odor.
Right, like I said, because it sits on top of the odor control, and it goes through a series of piping, and it pulls, because the ATAC tanks are closed, and basically it pulls the air off of that so it can't escape. Directs it through the odor control, and then after it's feeded through the odor control into the atmosphere.
Well, what else can we share with the public? I think we kind of went through a lot of details here. Okay. We say the city of Sanford has put out a statement originally that the part has been ordered and it's going to be here mid-November. Is that something now once the part, how are we looking on that timeline?
So it's actually more towards the latter part of November, looking
Okay.
at maybe November 24th, and that's
Thanksgiving week.
well,
We're not taking, we're not going to pause because it's Thanksgiving, right?
right. But that's assuming that the manufacturer, I mean, anybody that has ordered parts or ordered materials knows that you're at the mercy of the manufacturer. And so what we've been told is November 24th. Of course, that's subject to possibly change. But if it doesn't, we'll get the part installed the next day.
It will be next day once we get it.
It's
pretty much?
Yeah,
depending on what day
it
we
should only
get it.
take about
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah. If we get it on during a week when we're working, it would be the next day. It depends on, obviously, if it comes in on Friday or Saturday, it'll be Monday. But
Right.
within a day or so after we get it, we should be able to install it.
Where's it? So it's
And
being,
so what we're hopeful for is that with the process modifications that we've made, with the other things that we're working on, one being the exhaust fan, we're pretty confident that we're on top of it and that we're moving in the right direction. And so all of those things combined by late November should give us the results
Okay.
that we want.
now we've heard from residents and our people that have lived here for many years that this isn't the first time this has happened. Haven't it's been to this degree that it's broken at all? So you've been here 35 years, Richie. Can you speak to that? Like people have said that every now and again. I mean, you can, but not like this consistent. What's the story behind that?
No, that's true. I mean, like Brent said, first and foremost, it's the wastewater treatment plant. Unfortunately, that's just the truth of the matter, and it's not going to smell like roses or
Right,
daisies.
and it's built right. They built now. It was built in the 60s, right?
Early 60s.
Early 60s, when none of us was here or there, and so they chose to build that plant on this waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
And now,
which used to be an old dump, an old garbage dump.
And here we are in 2025, and look at the city of Sanford and how just incredible it is. And you've got a sewer plant over there, so it's like.
Well, let me say that because that is great. This is no, that's fine. No, here, I'm a Class C certified water and wastewater plant operator. I did my wastewater operating license first because I was hired at the plant as a wastewater operator training, so I had to do my course. And one of the first chapters they tell you in that wastewater class is most treatment plants are built on a site of water because it's the easiest way to dispose of it. She's got, this is before it was beneficial reclaimed water. You just had this effluent you had to get rid of, and the easiest way to do is
dump it in the water.
Put in. Well, a lot of times, it's better. No, it was after the Clean Water Act. A lot of times, the effluent that was in there was better than the body water that was in that was going in.
Oh God!
Because of the treatment process,
right? And you disinfected everything. You're treating. You're taking all solids out in the lake. You have alligators and other animals that you don't know what's in there.
Right.
And so, like I said, I wasn't here in the early 60s. So I've been here since December 1988. So I've seen a lot of growth around here. It's built up. But the reason I'm so passionate about this is because the South plant out there on Cameron Avenue, I was here when we built that plant in 2007, and there was nothing around that plant. There was one lady who owned a 5 or 10 acre peak parcel behind it that was trying to get the city to buy her property for some exorbitant amount because she smelt it, but nobody was around it. You go by that plant today, across the street's Boom Complex. There's been a hotel behind it. There's apartments, condos, everything came up around it. Publix is there, McDonald's, everything is moving around that treatment plant. And years down the road, when we're all long gone, they now may be having an issue there too, saying, "Why did you build a treatment plant in the middle of all of this?"
Okay, well, that's an interesting backstory. That's true because here we are, almost 55, 60 years later, and talking about this. So that's definitely true.
Yeah, and
because people wonder why there's the real estate.
Making really good points, and I have to elaborate.
Well, I'm glad that
because, like you said, that's not. They did build them on lakes and canals and things like that, so they could discharge the water. And there are a lot of plants that still operate similar to the way we do, as far as where they're located. They dump in the lakes, rivers. A lot of them dump it to the ocean if they're coastal. And so they have discharge pipes into the ocean. And so he's right. It's a good point. I know people do bring that up often. Why did we build it on the lake? And I'm glad Richie touched on that.
Okay. So we are in the best possible position we can be in right now for our situation. right? This is the best. I mean, this is where we're at. We have to just come to the understanding it happened. The part is ordered, and the city of Sanford's on top of it. I mean, is there any other? I mean, it could be as black and white as that, but I don't know if you want to just sum it up, Brynt. I
No, I
mean,
think you summed it up.
okay, because you're both looking at me. But all right, no, I just want to make sure that we've come to some kind of conclusion with all of this information as to what happened, unfortunately, here in the city, which a city where the people care about their city. They love their city. They want their visitors to be here, to come here, to dine here, to do all take, be part of our business community. It's not like they don't care. And if we didn't have the passion of our residents, it's important for the city and the residents to really come together like that. We know this is a problem, and we are actually facing that problem straight down the line and being accountable for what has occurred, because we feel the same way. We work, and some of us live in the city, and we love Sanford, and it's going to end. It's not forever. Unfortunately, it's a valley that we're going through right now, right, Brynt? And so can we save my Christmas? Hopefully, I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
like I
time's
said,
flying by
well, like
anyway.
I said, I mean, I'm not going to change the original date that we established, and I think the end of
Okay.
November is the date. And like you said, it only lasts so long. My mom would always say, "Trouble doesn't last all the time. It comes, trouble comes and then it leaves."
Right.
And so we're going through a troublesome time right now. We're
Yeah.
like I said, we're on the right path to coming out of it,
Right.
and we're going to stick to that original date, which is the end of November.
Right. Okay. And the support, we do get a lot of criticism. It was fair to say. But the support of the community with the city, and the city supporting the residents, that's a great relationship to have, because we work better that way, and we're a better community. And so appreciate you in my opinion. Richie, do you have any last words that you want to say? I mean, you're gonna be retiring soon.
And end of January
Did
2026.
you hear that? Richie, after almost 36 years.
No, it'll be 37 years. December 8th will be 37 years.
You said you started in the summer of
December 8th of 1988.
1988. Okay. Wow. Yeah, a lot has changed in the world. I think we have these things called cell phones too, right? And so I can only imagine how you day in and day out drive into that the sewer plant, and seeing that. I can understand your passion about it, and
I'm right, because that's where I started as a plant operator training. Even though I'm over with wastewater plants and water plants, my office is there. I report there every day, so I'm involved in the smell. I smell it too, and very passionate about it. And I said,
And guess what? I guess you're not going out you're going out with a bang, right, Richie? I mean, all the eyes are on the Sanford sewer plant, and so you and our recovery from that. But you thought you maybe have a smooth transition.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And here he is on our podcast.
But we're working hard at it. We'll get this right, taken care of.
No, it's
a very serious issue, and we understand that.
Now, let me ask you this one more thing. Is there any health concerns? We've heard out there that there could be health concerns out there. There's no health concerns.
No, it's just an odor. No health concerns.
It's just an odor. It's just annoying.
An annoying odor.
That's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's all for today. We wanted to be out here, transparent, have our Public Works Utilities Director, Brynt Johnson, with us, and Richie Casella, Plans Manager for the City of Sanford, 36 years service in our Plans Department and our Utilities Department. We just want to bring these gentlemen here to you today to talk to you about that very serious issue that everybody's concerned about. So we hope we shed light on some information and just have made it a little bit more clear. We advise you to follow our social media, follow our city website page. We're getting ready to put up a frequently asked questions page. This podcast will be also on that web page. Look for that. And eventually it'll be also related to a project page, capital project page on the city website. So if you're wondering what's going on, you can always go to your Facebook page, but we encourage everybody to go to the city website. You'll find information there. It's easy to navigate. We have a mobile app also called Sanford Connects. But Stay connected, stay tuned to the City of Sanford. We are here to provide the best quality service for you so you have an incredible quality of life for you and your family. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, for, again, taking your time out on Sanford Says City podcast. This is Lisa. I don't think I introduced myself
You
in the
did
very
not.
beginning. So this is Lisa Holder. I'm Lisa Holder, Communications and Marketing Manager for the City of Sanford, and you're listening to Sanford Says. Thank you again. Please tune in next time. This is the source for official information for the City of Sanford, and you could reach us on the Sanford website at sanfordfl.gov. Follow us on Facebook, like I said, social media, or give us a call at 407-688-5019. That's the communications office. Thank you again. Have a great day. Until next time. Bye.